I'm filming this on the 1st of December, but you're not going to see it for a while because I gotta get around to actually editing it and everything. Hello, nurse! Welcome back to my channel. What are we here for, you ask? Well, it's the 1st of December, which means I have 16 days until I turn 30. I'm not sure whether I should cheer or I should cry. Oh, Lord. As I'm approaching 30, my oldest child is approaching 13. He will turn 13 3 months after I turn 30. And if you do the math right, that means I was a teen mom. I was actually a teen mom times 2. No, they're not twins. I just have a really hard time not getting pregnant. So I kind of wanted to jump on here though and talk about how I became a teen mom. Not the sex ed version of it. If you don't know how a baby is made, then you should not be watching my channel. I don't know what I'm more sad about. The fact that I'm turning 30 and I just feel like I'm old. Oh god, here it comes. Or the fact that my oldest child is about to be 13 and holy Jesus, that's scary. I want to talk about it more so because I would like a record of it so my kid can look back one day and be like, yep, that's how I came about. I was 16 when I got pregnant. It happened in June of 2006. I rode a train to California, and on that train ride, a little being was conceived, and I had no idea that I was pregnant. For what I remembered, I was still having periods for the first 3 months of pregnancy. I even went down to Planned Parenthood and got the morning after pill because while I was already pregnant, I had unprotected sex and didn't want to have a baby because I was 16. You know, trying to not raise a baby while I was still growing up. Not that that's a bad thing, because I kept my baby and I raised him, and he turned out to be a pretty damn good human being. I found I was pregnant around the time, I can't remember exactly, but it was around the time like school started back up. So September, 3 months later. Like I said, I was 3 months pregnant when I found out I was pregnant, and I am a person who does not sleep a lot. So in the middle of the night, I took a pregnancy test. The reason I decided to take a pregnancy test is because I saw a friend and I jumped up on him to give him a hug. And I ripped the ass of my pants, and I don't have an ass. So I was sitting there like, since when is my butt big enough to rip out my pants? And sure enough, it was pregnant. And I remember I went into my bedroom and I like kneeled on the edge of my bed, which was really stupid because I felt like I was gonna pass out or something. And I just like rocked back and forth on the edge of my bed, staring at this test like mind blowing. You know, I didn't know at that point if I was going to keep my child, if I was going to look for an adoptive family, whatever it might be. But I knew right then and there, like, that child was going to be Earthside. There was a reason that child was put there, and there was a reason that my life events lined up to the point where my body was in a healthy-ish situation. You know, I was in the up and up of life. You know, I was doing better for myself. I went about the pregnancy. I did have points in time where I had, you know, a few complications. I was 16. My body had a hard time wanting to stay pregnant. Then luckily it was not severe enough where I ever had to get the steroid shot. I never had to stay overnight in the hospital. Nobody believed me for a while that I was pregnant, and because I did not show until I was 6 months long. Then I got a tiny little bump. But if I can find photos, I will post photos around my face of me pregnant. But I could lift up my shirt and I had that line, like that brown line down your stomach, like, no belly, but here's a line. We found out that he was a boy. I wanted to know. I named him Aiden. I literally like was looking up all these names, and Aiden was like the least popular on the list, and it had only come into America like 100 years prior from Germany, yada yada yada. Ow. But that apparently was around the time that some show was really popular, and there's a character on it named Aiden, and everybody named their child, no joke, like from the point he was born to like 3 years on, everybody was Aiden because of some television show. I still couldn't tell you what show it was. Through my pregnancy, I got a midwife. I was like, I'm gonna have this baby all natural. I don't want drugs. I didn't want drugs because I'm deathly afraid of needles. And I had a female midwife because I thought, oh, well, like, I should have a female midwife, like. So yeah, my pregnancy, like, went relatively well. I think with him, I put on like 35 pounds. The day before he was born, I went into the hospital and I was like, I'm not feeling him move. There's something wrong. And they hooked me up to the monitor. They found his heartbeat, but they were also monitoring his movement, and he wasn't moving all that well. He was very sluggish, apparently. And they were supposed to keep me overnight. Well, the nurse discharged me and goes, come back at 10 a.m. We're going to do a stress test on you. I was like, okay, whatever. I show back up like probably 2 hours before I was supposed to do my stress test. I was like, okay, I'm like crampy and I still can't feel him moving. Like, he's not moving. And they're like, well, you weren't supposed to leave. And I was like, I got discharged. Like, they handed me discharge paper. They told me to go home and come back at 10 a.m. for a stress test. Like, no, you weren't supposed to leave. So they hooked me up. He's moving fine, but I was in labor. But I wasn't in like hard labor. Like, I was in crappy labor. And of course, you know, I was totally convinced that I was going to do this epidural free and everything was going to be dandy. My midwife would do this thing where she'd be like, I want you to close your eyes and visualize your birth canal opening. Now, I give mad props to all the moms who like catch their own babies and like hold the mirror down. No, I didn't want to see any of that. Like, cut, dry, straightforward. I was like, do not tell me I'm almost done. I don't want to see. I don't want to reach down and touch the hair on his head. Like, no. Like, hand him to me once he emerges from my body. So probably around like noon, 1 o'clock-ish, they break my water so that I would progress faster, because at this point in time, like, things are picking up, but I'm still not like in like labor. And that like jump starts my labor. I make it all the way to 10 centimeters within 4 hours. I started out like they checked me out at 7, and like literally 20 minutes later I was like, I need to push. And the nurse like, no, like, this is your first baby, it's not gonna happen that fast. Like, no, like I something's coming out of me, I need to push. And she texts me, she's like, holy crap. And at this point in time, my midwife has stopped by my room like an hour before, and I said, I don't want her in this room. I don't want her delivering my baby. I don't want anything to do with her. Like, I know she's fired. I'm done. I don't know if it's because of the way she was wanting me to visualize birth. I don't know what overcame me, but I was like, nope. So they bring in this other doctor, and you know, got a nurse and my mom holding my legs up, and I'm pushing and nothing's happening. And like, the baby was starting to come down, but like my hips were dislocating. I have hip dysplasia, and the baby was going into distress. His heart rate was dropping, and they're like, we're rushing you to a C-section. Now, the hospital I was giving birth in has surgery rooms inside of it, but they have to prepare those. Like, they're for planned, or, you know, oh, we're gonna have a C-section, let's go get the room ready. Not emergency C-section. So they rushed me out of the birthing center, literally like in the old ER television shows where you see the light flashing over you, to the standard operating room, which, I mean, you could have a baby there. It's no big deal, but you know, that's like the emergency operating room. They had to put me under because I did not have an epidural. And at this point, his heart rate was like 50. They're like, he's in distress, we need to get him out, like, this is bad, he could die. And nobody could go with me into the operating room because it was an emergency C-section. Like, they had it like bing bam boom. So anyways, they do the C-section, they pull my kid out, they literally take the little air puffer thing and puff him in the face 3 times. And I mean, he didn't even need, like, they didn't put it over his face, they just like blew air in his face to kind of like shock him. He was fine. He did have the cord wrapped around his neck, and they said there could have been severe complications had I had him vaginally. Luckily, the doctor who came to deliver my baby was somebody who actually could do a C-section, because had I had to have waited for somebody to give me a C-section because my midwife couldn't do it, we both could have died. So he was perfectly fine. He got to go straight to the nursery. I actually have pictures. If I can find them, I'll post them up. I woke up, I was sitting in a room surrounded by everybody and not my child. And of course, the last thing I knew was that they were losing my kid's heartbeat. So I wake up, I'm like, oh my god, where's my baby, where's my baby? And they're like, oh, he's fine, he's in there. I'm like, he should be, like, there's people in here, he should be in here with you people. They brought him to me, and I got to hold him, and I got to love him, and it was like the cutest newborn in the flippin' world. Like, I know what picture I'm putting here, like, look at this. So yeah, that is how I became a teen mom. I tell people that he saved my life. I do want to say that I would not recommend being a teen mom. There's a lot in life I did miss out on, and I don't regret it. I don't regret having my baby and keeping my baby. Not in the least bit. But I would not say, hey, go out and get knocked up as a teen mom. It's fun. It's hard, you know? Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.